To get a sense of how the pharmaceutical sector in India views the performance of the Modi government over the past 5 years, we're joined in Davos at this time by Mr. Poonawalla, who runs the Serum Institute. Adar, welcome to India today. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I just want to tell our viewers that of all the vaccines all the children in the world consume, at least 50% of every newborn would have had some vaccine from the Serum Institute. So thank you for joining us, Adar. Give us a sense of how you, as a leading light of the pharmaceutical sector, view what the Modi government has done in your sphere for the past 5 years.
Well, I think Modi ji has done a lot of good things in the health sector, especially the push he's given to vaccines. And of course, this health insurance scheme that has also slowly taken off. But I think he can still do a lot more, I think, with the permissions and licenses which could be reduced and perhaps bought online, not just in my sector, but in other sectors. We can improve on our ease of doing business, although Mr. Kant and Modi ji's government has done a lot and we've come a long way. But I think the investors here and people also have been talking about how we can improve and fast track a lot of the things that they're eager to invest in and sectors to invest in India, and we can improve on that.
So the government says that doing business in India has got a lot easier over the last 5 years, that India has jumped 30 spots just over the last year in the World Bank's ease of doing business rankings. Are you feeling the change, Adar?
Well, I'm sure it has in some sectors, but for people to feel the change, it needs to really trickle down to the grassroots level. So when I mean, are we able to acquire land faster? Are we able to get environment clearances faster? Are we able to set up new factories, even startups faster? So you'll have to really talk to them to really see if that's...
I'm talking to you and I'm saying, is doing business in India, according to you, getting faster and easier?
Yes, it's improving, but we still have a long way to go. I think if you see the policies that have been very wisely made at the center level, that really comes down to the state level and down to the companies where they can apply for permissions online like you have in the West. You don't have to go to the bureaucrats with a file for 14 different permissions. And most of these permissions and licenses, half of them can just be dropped actually, because most of them are very hypothetical and meaningless.
Okay, so the government's just launched Ayushman Bharat, health insurance, medical insurance for all. The government thinks this is a game changer. Do you buy that? Do you think it will actually transform how people look at the medical sector in India?
I think if the scheme, which has already started, I believe, and a few lakh applicants have received funds, I think it'll be a great success story. But it's still too early to say, and I wish them all the best. I think it's already started, and as long as people can actually avail of the funds when they need it, in cases of emergency, I think it'll be a great scheme.
One of the charges that's leveled against the Indian pharma sector is that you're living off all the R&D done by global pharma giants. They're constantly complaining that they're selling so cheap because they're not doing the hard work themselves, and they're denying us the fruits of our labor because we made the effort. How do you, as one of the big beneficiaries of the way the Indian pharma sector is organized in government regulations and the push for cheap pharma prices, how do you reflect on this criticism?
Well, actually, I completely disagree with that on their claim. We've had a lot of patents of our own. For example, my company, Serum Institute, has filed its own patents for a pneumococcal vaccine, which we will launch later this year, if not early in 2020. So we're having our own innovations in our sectors and many other sectors as well. And that's been changing over the last 7-8 years. Perhaps that was true 10 years ago, but now that's completely different.
How much of an effort are you making as a leading pharma giant in trying to come up with your own global cutting-edge patents?
Well, we spend at least 20 to 30% of our bottom line on R&D and clinical trials and innovating and acquiring new technology from the West. So we're putting in a lot of efforts in that, and so are other companies. So you'll see a huge plethora of vaccines and other monoclonal antibodies coming about very soon, made in India and created in India.
Okay, so the big story in India right now, of course, is the general elections. Everyone's counting down to that. We heard different kinds of voices here in Davos. On the one side, you had the likes of Sajjan Jindal saying, second term for Modi and that's what India needs. And there were lots of other voices which said, hey, coalition governments haven't been so bad and we've done as well under coalitions as we have under single party governments. How do you view the political situation at this time?
Well, I'm on the side of progress, and whomsoever comes to power, I'm happy with anything. As long as, as I said, you pay attention to permissions and licenses, and another pet subject of mine is the judiciary. I think justice delayed is justice denied. And I just pray and hope, if you were to ask me one wish, that whether it's a coalition government or whomsoever comes to power, we address this issue of appointing more judges and more courts, because whether it's enforcing a contract, whether it's getting relief for a rape victim, I mean, if we're going to take 10 years for a decision and keep appealing decisions and not have enough time, and we're told when we go to court, just Tariq, how will we get relief? Whether you're a startup, whether you're a businessman, whether you're an industrialist, whether you're a woman who's been, mistreated.
So the prospect of a coalition government, a hodgepodge, motley alliance, doesn't necessarily frighten you?
No, it doesn't frighten me because, look, India's demand is not going to change. Our ambition is not going to change. And we've had these coalition governments in the past, and, that's not affected us in an adverse way. We've got a democratic process, and as long as that doesn't change, how does it matter, whoever comes to power?
Adar Poonawalla, for speaking to us in Davos, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.